What is going on, everybody? What is going on? It's your boy Dave from Top Bunk Sports. I'm here with another Knicks on Top post game video. The New York Knicks come back down from 18 points to beat the Houston Rockets 108 to 106. What a crazy game. There's a lot to take off negatively, but there's also a lot to take in positively. And I think it comes down to how the Knicks made their adjustments in that fourth quarter, man. I mean, Jesus, they were down. It got to a point where they were down 11 going into that fourth quarter. There's a lot of things that we're going to discuss that made and helped that turnaround, but man, I tell you that was an exciting game, and it was looking like it was going to be one of those games where we were just going to drop the ball. And yeah, man, shout out to the Knicks for pulling through. Before we continue, make sure you guys follow, like, share, and subscribe to the Top Bunk Sports YouTube channel. Make sure you guys follow me at Top Bunk Sports on X, Instagram, and TikTok, and show your boys some love. Now, let's get straight into it. So, the New York Knicks started off really, really well in that first quarter. Obviously, it kind of simmered down just a little bit, but the numbers weren't too bad in that first quarter. They shot 12 of 22. They were 1 of 4 from three, so only shooting 25%, but they shot 54% from the field. They were perfect from the free throw line, only 3 turnovers. So they were pretty good in that first quarter, to say the least, right? They led 27 to 21. So shout out to them. But then the second quarter is where they really struggled. The Houston Rockets led the second quarter 33 to 26. But in most parts, if you look at the numbers in that second quarter, it just tells you as a team how bad we were in that second quarter. We were 10 of 21, right? Shooting 47%, shooting 44% from three, right? With only 3 turnovers. However, if we go to Houston, right? If we go to Houston's number in the second quarter, right? Look at their numbers in the second quarter. They shot 12 of 15. That's 80%. 4 of 5 from three. 4 or 5 from three. That's 80%. They had more turnovers than the Knicks, right? But their shooting efficiency in that second quarter was them being able to not only pressure the defense to allow them to get in that run in the second quarter, but give them some momentum. So the Knicks kind of faltered in that second quarter, which allowed the Houston Rockets to go in that third quarter and really put the pressure on the Knicks. Look into the third quarter for the Houston Rockets. Houston Rockets shot 12 of 21, made 3 of 8 threes. So again, that third quarter for them was a little less better than the second quarter. However, they were able to stay efficient. They dominated the paint with 18 points, second chance points, excuse me, 7 fast break points with 3 steals. So they were aggressive for the most part. 13 rebounds, 8 assists as a team. They showed out in that third quarter. And again, like I said, they led by 11 at one point. It was naturally getting scary for the New York Knicks. It got to a point where it was like, yo, they if they don't show nothing in this fourth quarter, we're done. Like we're literally done. There's nothing that this team is going to do. And again, the Knicks pulled out an amazing victory in that fourth quarter. You look at their fourth quarter, they were 13 to 23. They shot 4 of 7 from three. They were 3 of 4 from the free throw line, 8 rebounds, 0 turnovers. And again, leading that when pressuring your defense and not giving up a turnover, taking care of the basketball. Who led the way? Jose Alvarado, Jalen Brunson got in his bag in that fourth quarter. 6 of 6, 14 points in the paint. You had 5 fast break points. So again, being able to lead the charge and put the pressure. Now that fourth quarter, like I said, was very important because of the fact that this game was slipping away from the Knicks. Again, the Knicks led this game in the first half as much as 13. By the time we got to halftime, the Houston Rockets were up 54 to 53. So that whole second quarter for the second straight game got away from the Knicks. Now, obviously, when the second quarter got away from the Knicks against the Pistons on Wednesday, right, the momentum kind of shifted to the Pistons' way, and that was it. that was all. That was all she wrote for the Pistons. That was all she wrote for the Knicks, right? The Pistons took advantage of it. Were able to pressure defensively. Were able to get stops. Were able to stop the Knicks in transition, and they put a hurting on the Knicks in that second quarter that led them to the dominant second half that they had. So going into that second quarter, the Knicks, after being up 13 at one point, find themselves down by one at the half, and then they come into that third quarter just playing sloppy. 3 minutes into that third quarter, Mike Brown had to call a timeout. Mike Brown had to call a timeout. The Knicks found themselves down by 10. By 10. 65 to 55, Mike Brown called the timeout. And I remember tweeting, I was so upset. I want to show you guys what I tweeted when Mike Brown did that. And it's up here. It's up right here. So this is what I put. This is what I put at halftime. And I'm gonna show you guys right here. This is what I put at halftime, and then this is what I put 3 minutes going into the third quarter. So I'm gonna show you guys right here. Okay, here we go. All right, so this is what I put right here. I said, let me move my screen up just a little bit. Okay, let's look at the tweet. I said, second straight game, Knicks struggle in the second quarter. Houston shooting 80% from all parts of the offensive side. Knicks just shooting 47% from the field and 44% from three. Jalen Brunson getting blitzed by Ahmed Thompson, having a horrible night so far with only 2 points. So that was at halftime. 3 minutes in to the third quarter, and I put a meme of Mike Woodson, right? And I said, no energy to start the third quarter. 3 minutes in, down 10. So it again, and the Knicks have had this problem before, where they find themselves being down in situations where they can't do nothing, and that's the problem, right? That is an issue for the New York Knicks. It's always been an issue for the New York Knicks. It's always been an issue for the New York Knicks. So, it got to a point where you're sitting there, and you're like, damn, they're not gonna muscle it. They can't muscle anything. Like, they're done. They're absolutely done. And by I wouldn't say by luck, but by the grace of God, they were able to go ahead and they were able to muster something out in the fourth quarter. Now I know I keep saying that, but again, there's a lot to get to within that. So you go into the third quarter. Obviously, they start off with Karl Anthony Towns, right? Karl Anthony Towns was able to get the board, and he was able to get the tip in at one point, but being aggressive. And the thing about tonight's game that really impressed me the most is that the Knicks found ways to get Karl Anthony Towns involved. They got him in post-up situations, and I tweeted this before while the game was going on. The New York Knicks found ways to learn from their mistakes after the situation with Detroit, right? If you guys remember, Isaiah Stewart wasn't playing. Right, I forgot their other. I think it was Jaden Ivey. Jaden Ivey and Isaiah Stewart were not playing in that game, which means Mike Brown said a comment in his pregame press conference where he was like, it's on Cat to kind of find, read the game and kind of find his way into the game to dominate. Yes, I understand that. Yes, it's on the players. They're professional, and you read the game as you go. Sometimes you don't need your coach, but you as a coach got to make that adjustment if you see he's not reading that. What are you saying in timeouts in terms of that? What is being told individually to Cat, whether it's him, whether it's Rick Brunson or any of the assistant coaches that are sitting there watching that and saying, yo, why aren't we getting Karl Anthony Towns more involved? Because they don't have their bigs. You let all their guards shit on you the entire game, right? Maybe having your second best option who has been inconsistent for the entire year, maybe allowing him to get involved in the offense and understanding that he could dominate with smaller players on him, even though he struggled the entire year with that, allow him to still work on that in the game. But no, they didn't put him in position to be successful within that. So in tonight's game against the Houston Rockets, they were able to allow that. They were able to go ahead and put him in position to post up, dominate, do what he needed to do, but get the ball, run the ball, and run the offense through him. And that's the important part. The offense is not always going to be ran through him, right? But if he always has a mismatch and he has a guy that can't guard him, I'm feeding him the ball no matter what it is. So that's the problem with how the game in Detroit went, is that you weren't feeding him the ball. You weren't getting him to go in and really do what you needed to do to get him comfortable in order to score, to be set on offensive transitions and all that. So that's the problem with this the situation in Detroit. And I didn't like Mike Brown's comments in terms of what I repeated, that Carl Anthony Towns had to figure that out, had to kind of find a way to kind of get going. At the end of the day, yes, it is on him. It's 50% him, but the other 50 is on you as well for not making that adjustment for him as a coach, not having a conversation with him and not sitting with him and telling him right before everybody got out the huddle in the timeout, and telling him like, yo, they don't have their bigs. Let's make that adjustment. Let's have post up. Let's have Brunson feed you the ball and everybody clear the fuck out. And he's a good facilitator as well. So if he's gonna read that double team, he makes the extra pass, and that way it'll be easier for the offense. Everybody gets involved. You kind of disgruntle the defense a little bit, and it works. And it works, but not making those adjustments. This is why guys were blaming Mike Brown for Wednesday's loss against Detroit, because it's 100%. It is 100%. So now that I got that out the way, and now that and again, shout out to OG, because he also had a big night tonight after his atrocity on Wednesday, going 0 for, I think, 0 for 5, 0 for 6 from three, and being 3 of 13 from the field. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. So let's get into that fourth quarter. And I want to play something. The NBA actually put a whole thing of that fourth quarter where it's back. So I want to play it, and we're going to dissect it just a little bit. There we go. I'm going to put it up for you guys. I'm going to try to make my screen just a little bit smaller for you guys. I know this is on the recording, right? But I want to play it for you guys so you guys can see it. Right before I play that, I want to play something that Ian Begley posted. Okay. I want to make my screen. I want to put my screen here for you guys. So give me just a second. I am going to actually edit this and put my screen here. Okay. So let's bang. Okay. Let's do that. All right, cool. I want to show you guys exactly what Mike Brown said, right? So Mike Brown said that Karl Anthony Towns had a message in the huddle at the beginning of the fourth. At the end of the day, it starts defensively. We got to start with getting stops. Towns led the charge at the end with defense on Alfred Sengun per Brown. Brown also said that assistant Rick Brunson suggested putting Jose Alvarado on the floor in the fourth quarter. Alvarado, 5 steals, and Knicks defensive player of the game. So shout out to Jose Alvarado. But here's the funny part. So Alvarado wasn't in for like the first 3 minutes or so. And I was legitimately about to tweet. Literally gonna go off. I literally was gonna tweet, and I deleted the tweet after I think the Houston Rockets got a foul or something. I was literally going to tweet. It makes no sense how Jose Alvarado. No, was it? I think it was like, excuse me. I take that back. It wasn't in the beginning of the fourth. It was like kind of towards the middle. It was like 5 minutes in the fourth quarter. I was literally going to tweet, it doesn't make any sense how Jose Alvarado changed the momentum in the fourth quarter. Ime Udoka called the timeout within the 5 minutes of that fourth quarter. When the timeout was done, guess who wasn't in the game? Jose Alvarado. Jose Alvarado wasn't in the game, at least for like 3 minutes after that timeout. And I was mad because I'm like, yo, Jalen Brunson's been struggling all game. Amon Thompson has been putting him in defensive hell. You've seen it. So when Jose Alvarado is that spark to get you back in the game in that fourth quarter, right, to start cutting down the deficit, Ime Udoka calls a timeout, a big timeout, right? And it's a great momentum for the Knicks, and you're gonna sit the one guy that started that momentum. I was so mad. I was literally gonna tweet it, and then I think the Knicks fouled or Houston fouled. I'm not really sure. I don't remember specifically. But all I know is that I heard a whistle, there was a foul. Jose Alvarado comes back in. Jose Alvarado comes back in and I was like, yo, thank God, because I was about to go crazy on Mike Brown. I was like, how is that even possible? Why would you do that? So thank God that he did that, because I was like, all right, cool. But thank God that Karl Anthony Towns has said this. He said this, right? Thank God that this was being said, and thank God that out of everybody to say that in the huddle, it was Karl Anthony Towns. If we all know, Karl Anthony Towns has been the guy that's been ridiculed, that has been judged in terms of not being happy, not being, not playing good. Obviously, he's been inconsistent 100%, but he is the number one player in terms of the Knicks issues and not fitting in Mike Brown's system. So for him to come in there and really lead the charge and wake everybody up, I really love to see that, because we're gonna get to a conversation that he had with Shaq in the post game of the Inside the NBA, when they were interviewing after the game, and a lot of people were kind of like mad at Shaq in a way, um, which I never understood, but he did give him his props for what he did tonight. But I'm glad that he was getting his props on this part as well, because if it would have been anybody else, the notions would have came on. Oh, but where's our other players? Where's our other options? You know, it takes somebody else that's not a one or two option to really do this. But where's Brunson? Where's Cat when you need them to speak out? So I'm glad that a guy that not only was playing well the entire game, he played really good today. There's nothing you could say about Cat's game tonight that you can diminish him on tonight. But I'm glad that it was him. It took him to speak on, our defensive liabilities that we're not only having throughout the year, but we're having in this game. So let's get into to that miraculous fourth quarter. I want to switch it here. All right, here we go.
The plays that impact winning time and time again. Shamet, the three. He's got it. First three-pointer for Shamet. He's ahead up the floor.
Right. So, you're probably just seeing their offensive possessions, but there was a lot of stops that they got, a lot of contested shots that they were able to get, good defensive rebounds that allowed them to get back in offensive transition.
Alvarado and Towns with the flush. That wakes the crowd up a bit. Sitting here at 20. Shamet, the three. He's got it. First three-pointer for Shamet.
I'm going to stop it and kind of, give my takes on certain parts of the video, because it is important that we go over that fourth quarter, because again, they were down 18. They were down 18 and they found themselves going into the fourth quarter dominating. So I want to show
Shamet, he's ahead up the floor.
Right here.
Alvarado and Towns with the flush. That wakes the crowd up a bit.
I was talking about. So Ime Udoka calls a timeout, right? I think this right here was where Mike Brown had taken out Jose Alvarado for at least 3 minutes of that fourth quarter, and where I was going to go crazy and I was going to drop a fucking nuclear bomb on Mike Brown's head, right? And for the reasons that I explained, but he puts him back in, and he didn't lose any momentum. Jose Alvarado kept doing what he was doing, pushing the energy, getting guys in their spots and stuff like that. So let's keep watching. But I think this is where he took Jose Alvarado for that small amount.
Sitting here at 21, and that's a testament to the Rockets and the ground they cover. Alvarado throws it back up. Shamet, catch, fire, connects. Landry Shamet. Now with
understanding that the pick and roll will always work for Towns. See, that's the difference between Tom Thibodeau and where Tom Thibodeau and Chris Finch was using Karl Anthony Towns to his success compared to what Mike Brown was doing. See, Chris Finch and Tom Thibodeau made sure to utilize Karl Anthony Towns in this pick and roll situation. No matter what it is, between him and Brunson, It was always pick and roll, let Cat dominate, let Brunson dominate. Why? Because if Cat's in a pick and roll, Cat's gonna drive, right? If Cat's in a pick and roll, Cat's gonna be at the top of the key and hit the pick and roll. Where once he hits the pick and roll, he's off his defender, he's at the top of the key, he's gonna try to shoot a three, he's gonna try to drive, or he's gonna facilitate and make an extra pass to a cutting guy or find a wide open dude in the corner. So there's a lot of things that Karl-Anthony Towns can do when he's in a pick and roll situation. Mike Brown really doesn't utilize Karl-Anthony Towns in a pick and roll situation, and you're starting to see that now. But you're also starting to see it with the guys that are telling him, "Yo, let's use this pick and roll and do what you got to do. Be dominant."
With 13 points, and it's back to 11.
Some havoc on the perimeter and finding three-point shooters of his own.
Rockets 46% from three. Towns, corner three, gets the three right back. And here comes Anunoby. Cross court, Bridges. Corner, Alvarado. Three-pointer. Got it. Good transition defense now. Alvarado inside. Scoop layup. Can't get it. The follow. Bridges throws it down. Timeout Rockets. It's a 6-point game.
Going to be determined to keep the ball out of his hands.
Towns, nice move. Couldn't finish. Gets it back. Anunoby kept it alive. Towns, nice feed inside. And Anunoby throws it down. Jabari Smith on Brunson. Brunson, crossover, drives, pulls back, puts it up, puts it in. 4-point game with 4.5 to play. Shamet to Towns. Towns backs in against Finney Smith, turns, layup, banks it home. The lead is.
This is what I'm talking about. You go back to that.
Towns,
right? Shamet, I believe, had
4.5 to play.
Look at Shaman right here, understanding that, listen, he could have passed back to Brunson. And it could have been a situation where Brunson, could go one-on-one, right? They're going to try to close in, right? Because I think that's Jabari Smith right there. Try to close in. That leaves you a wide open OG Anunoby at the corner, right? So Brunson could easily pass out. You have OG Anunoby at the corner for a three. Landry Shamet reads the smaller defender, right? Cat has a small defender, and this is the one thing that we always talk about when it comes to Karl-Anthony Towns' game. When you have a smaller defender, do what you have to do to dominate. Do what you got to do to dominate. That's it. That's all that matters when it comes to that. Do what you have to do to dominate. So you're seeing this here. Landry Shamet reads it very well.
Shamet to Towns. Towns backs in against Finney Smith, turns, layup, banks it home. The lead is cut to 2. Rockets. Şengün, crowd wanted a foul on Şengün. Jabari Smith on Brunson, drives inside, puts up the shot. It's good. Jalen Brunson nails another. It's back to 2. Durant gets into the paint, stolen from behind by Alvarado. Alvarado goes inside. He puts it in. How did he find the angle? Towns right there. Throws it in the corner. Stolen by Alvarado. Knicks with a chance to tie or take the lead with 1.5 minutes remaining. Brunson the drive. Gets inside. Banks it in. Tie game.
They want to get a 2-for-1, but ensure that the Rockets don't have enough time to get one.
Brunson pulls up. Jump shot. It's good. Jalen Brunson knocks it down. And the Knicks take the lead.
Houston not really clutching up defensively. And like I said, when no matter how inconsistent you are, if you're reading that well, all that matters is that you're putting that pressure on them, because they're not doing nothing defensively to stop you. Offensively, it's like, yo, put the pressure defensively and we got it from here offensively. Right, we're gonna read the mismatches. Ime Udoka is a very smart coach, but he wasn't making no adjustments on the defensive side for Houston. He wasn't. So it is what it is. There was nothing they could do. There was nothing they could do. So the Knicks read that, and again, Jalen Brunson didn't have a great game today. Did not have a great game today, but in that fourth quarter, he took over. He had 18 points in the second half with 8 points in that fourth quarter. He had 10 points in that third quarter, but he was a minus 15 in that third quarter. So even though he had 10 points, it was a quiet 10 points. That 8 points that he dropped in that fourth quarter was louder. because there were clutch shots to keep the Knicks in it, and it gave them the lead. And then from there, that was it. That was all she wrote because Houston couldn't do anything to be consistent. You know what I'm saying? So again, and then defensively, Brunson ended up clutching up. So shout out to Jalen Brunson. Again, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. So again, Knicks coming back down from 18 and again showing fight. And this is the type of fight that you need to have, especially after the ass whooping that you took from the Pistons on Wednesday. I mean, again, it's no secret that I think anybody could tell you when the number one team in your conference is beating you up like that, man, I mean, you got to be embarrassed. You got to be embarrassed. And again, I know part of that is on Mike Brown for not making the adjustments, for not, reading what you've already failed to do in the last two games against Detroit. Again, Detroit is always, because of last year, us eliminating them in the first round in 6 games. They got a chip on their shoulder, right? They're circling the Knicks every time they see us in the schedule. They're going to send us a message. And what did K do? K dropped 30. He was 42 points, 42 and 10. He was the first Piston to have that. 42 points and 10 assists, the first Piston in Pistons history to have that. And he did that to us. He cooked us. So again, not making your adjustments the third time against JB Bickerstaff. And JB Bickerstaff sees fire right now against the Knicks. He has those boys ready. He may not have it against everybody else, but when it comes to the Knicks, we sending him a message. Why? Because they're behind us. And what they did to us last year, we take that personal. He may not say it to the public, but the conversation is there when they're in the locker room. That's what it is. Let's look at some box score before I get to that video of Karl-Anthony Towns' post-game interview with Inside the NBA. So like I said right here, you're gonna see it. This is Houston's stats, but let's look at the Knicks stats. OG Anunoby playing 40 minutes, 20 points, 8 of 16 from the field. Obviously, only 2 out of 7 from 3. Could be a little bit better. Remember, I think he was 0-6 or something like that from 3 on Wednesday. So, he's struggling from 3 since coming back from that toenail, but played much better tonight. 2 rebounds, 1 assist, only 1 turnover. He was a +6 in point differential. Karl-Anthony Towns, the player of the game tonight. 25 points, 10 of 15 from the field, 3 of 3 from 3, 7 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 turnovers. But he limited it. He limited it tonight. One steal. He was a +23 in point differential. That was a game high tonight from Karl-Anthony Towns, a game high +23 tonight. So shout out to Karl-Anthony Towns. He, in my opinion, was your player of the game. Josh Hart didn't have a good night tonight. He was 2 points, 1 of 7 from the field, 0 of 3 from 3, -14. Mikal Bridges had an okay game tonight. 11 points, 5 of 11 from the field, 1 of 2 from 3, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and he was a +3. Not necessarily because of the +3, even though that's still good, but he was able to do the smaller things around the court. Not obviously scoring 11 points is not efficient, but him being able to have 6 rebounds and 5 assists, allowing the Knicks to space out and create from a different vantage point. Then Jalen Brunson not having a pretty game at all. But in that fourth quarter, it took over like the true clutch captain that he is. 20 points, 6 of 12 from the field, 8 of 9 from the free throw, 3 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 turnovers, but he was a -10 in point differential, and that's obviously how he started the first 3 quarters. And then I think I would say, you look Jose Alvarado from the bench. Jose Alvarado and Landry Shamet were your key guys off the bench. 26 minutes for Landry, 14 points, 5 of 7 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3. He was a +8, but again, making those clutch threes and finding his guys, including Karl-Anthony Towns. A couple of those passes in the post in that fourth quarter came from Landry Shamet. And then obviously Jose Alvarado continuing to be an impact for the New York Knicks. since he's been here. 20 minutes, 8 points, 3 of 9 from the field, 2 of 5 from 3. He was a plus 19. He had 4 assists and 5 steals. Again, this is why they call him the Grand Theft Auto, because of that. Because of the impact he's able to make on the defensive side, being quick as a guard. You know what I'm saying? Reading the defense, reading the game, letting the game come to him. This is why he was so important, because who had that who had that effect in a certain scheme, in a certain level. Deuce McBride. A lot of things that Jose Alvarado does, Deuce McBride has that in his game. And again, obviously, Deuce McBride is a better shooter, right? He's a little bit of a better guard, but guys that can create a lot on the defensive side and that are quick with the basketball, they get a lot done. And Jose Alvarado and Deuce McBride share that a lot. So shout out to Jose Alvarado. And yeah, man, a tough, gritty win. It is not how you started, but it's how you finish. And thank God that the Knicks were able to have that small conversation led by Cat in that huddle to come into the fourth quarter. And the Knicks ended up outlasting the Houston Rockets in that fourth quarter 33-15, and they would end up picking up the victory by 2 to go 22-8 at home and get their 36th win of the season. Now, before I get to ending this conversation, I did comment on this, but I do want to play this conversation. Yeah, let me play this for you guys. I'm gonna play it for you, right? And shout out to Big Nick Energy for posting the conversation. I disagreed with him. I disagreed with him on this, but I feel like this needs to be discussed, because there's a lot of opinion on it, and I'm gonna give my opinion on that.
Carl Shaq here. You know us. We're from Jersey, so always keep it real. At the beginning of the game, I said you were playing soft because I've seen you at times when you play great. And what you must understand in New York, you need to be great for you guys to win the championship. It's high aspirations. If you guys win the championship, of course they're going to talk about Brunson, but it's you and your play. You have to be dominant. You responded very, very well. You played well. You played in the paint. That's how you should play. You should always play great. Being from Jersey, good ain't good enough. You had a great game tonight. I'm proud of you.
For sure. But what you said, too, is if we win a championship, they could talk about anybody. As long as we all get a ring, that's the most important thing.
No, but
I don't care. I don't care about none of that.
No, but you got to play great. 1-2 punch, and you part of that 1-2 punch.
Hell yeah.
Right.
But, I want to make sure we all understand the biggest goal and the main goal here is to win. It don't matter about who gets the credit or whatever.
And about credit, you got to play great. Nope, you got to play great.
Sure.
Get the credit.
I hear you.
Yeah, okay.
Legend, I agree with you.
All right.
I agree with you.
I got you, Jersey, baby.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Well, that conversation happened, and I didn't think it was awkward. I know certain people did, but I proceeded to say that the conversation wasn't awkward, right? I said, although I feel like Shaq is a Knicks hater, because there are certain things where he just doesn't look at the Knicks as top contenders. He really doesn't like to give the Knicks their credit, right? And that's an opinion, but I feel like it's 100% true. I said what he told Cat was 100% right. It's the same thing we've been holding Cat accountable on. He didn't like Cat's response, but at the end of the day, that's just who Cat is. It's his personality. He just has to be more consistent and show up when it matters. And that's all that it was. It's a legend giving his young guy, and not personally his young guy, but giving a dude that he thinks is good and that can show more potential than he has already shown some advice. Again, I like the fact that Shaq didn't hold back. Now, Shaq has always been the type of guy to be honest with certain guys when it comes to criticism. His history with Dwight Howard, for example, right? He was always criticizing Dwight Howard. So he's always been honest to Cat. Every time he talks about Cat, it's always, you need to be more aggressive. You got to stop relying on your shooting. Even though you do shoot really good as a big man, you'll rely on your mismatches and get down to the paint. Be a big man like you need to be. The thing is, we've been saying that as fans, and I say we because I'm always on Twitter. I'm always around Knicks Twitter, so I hear and I see the timeline. I hear the conversations. That's the one thing when it comes to Karl-Anthony Towns that we have been holding him accountable. Enough with the inconsistent shooting. Get down to your mismatches. Dominate when you need to. And Charles Barkley said this in his pregame before the game tonight. Karl Anthony Towns needs to violate on his mismatches. He needs to be a big man. He needs to go down. He needs to punish him. He needs to dominate like a big man does. So when your shots are not falling, you need to adjust. And that's where, they're telling him, Shaq gave him credit. He was like, yo, you had a good game today. Right. But in the beginning, I felt like you were a little bit soft. You made your adjustments and you got better. Right. Now, Cat, you could kind of see like he appreciated it, but he's been hearing the thing, so it looked like he really didn't want to hear it. But at the end of the day, it's like, bro, you're the second option on this team. And this organization, as well as certain fans, I'm not going to say all the fans because there are certain fans that don't even want Cat here. They could care less what he does, right? But there are fans like me and like a group of them that believe that, listen, Cat's here as a second option. Him and Brunson could get it done, and him and Brunson could go out there and win a chip. But we need the 2025 Cat or an even better Cat. Make your adjustments, dominate like we know you can, and bring us that chip. Because it's not only for us, it's not only for the city, it's for you. You accomplished that. You work hard to do that. You deserve that. But you need to dominate like we know you can. And it's been very inconsistent. It's been a lot of complaining to the refs. He's been very outspoken in terms of the offense, in terms of how he's playing. I mean, in his post game against Detroit, they asked him about the offense. He's like, it's been the same offense all year. Obviously, to him, to him, it's like whatever. But fans put two and two together, like, oh, he's throwing shots at Mike Brown. So it seems like he's complaining. You know what I'm saying? And again, part of it is not him. It's also on Mike Brown to get him involved, no matter what he thinks Cat should be doing or not. Yo, talk to the dude. So what are you doing? What are you doing at timeouts if you're not having a conversation with him? And that's what it comes down to. Talking to your guys, making sure that it gets straight through them that, yo, we need to involve them in pick and rolls, involve them in smaller match post-ups like you did tonight. Exactly what happened tonight. Whether it's a smaller guy guarding him or it's a guy that's his size that he can dominate, feed the ball towards him. Get the offense towards him. It's not always Brunson. Use your second option the best way that you can. And the game is going to come to him. The game is going to come to the rest of the team, and everything will fall into place. What we saw tonight from Karl Anthony Towns, we have a 3-game road trip starting with Chicago tomorrow. Let's see if that continues, and let's see if the Knicks can build off their momentum from this comeback win against the Houston Rockets. Guys, I appreciate you for tuning into this video. Make sure you follow, like, share, and subscribe to the Top Bunk Sports YouTube channel. Make sure you guys follow me at Top Bunk Sports on X, Instagram, and TikTok. Like I said in the very beginning of this video, I appreciate you guys so much. Big win today. We got a 3-game road trip starting in Chicago tomorrow. So we looking forward to that. But I appreciate you guys as always. Let's go Knicks, and I will check you guys on the next video. Peace.